Hi, from the yoga studio. It's me, Mike, all safe and protected. I'm 6 feet from the computer, and we're all good to go today. Just a little laugh. I'm the only one here. Nobody else is here. Everybody else is home, being safe and all that kind of thing. So I'm going to take that off. Sitting here in front of the computer. Kind of lonely in this place without all my family, all my yoga family. So when I look in the computer, I can see my hair is getting long. You can't get to the barber shop these days. There's not much hair on top, but it's getting a little unruly. There's one time years ago I said, well, I'm going to cut my own hair, so I haven't done that yet, but didn't work out too good last time. I had one of those razors with the little plastic depth gauge that clips on at the end of it, and I was in front of the mirror in the bathroom at home, and I was zipping that thing up, starting the back of my head, zipping it up the back of my head, and right when I started, I looked down and I see this little plastic thing bouncing on the floor in front of my feet, and it goes zip, and I go, oops, what did I just do? And so I got another mirror, looked around the back, and I just cut a racing stripe right up the back of my head. And so I'm not sure I want to do that again. I just left it that way, and it all grew back in. But I was working at the time. I had quite a few funny comments at work. But anyway, we're all here today at the yoga studio, the Yoga Collective Yoga Studio. And I thought I'd do a session a day. My teacher, Margot, one of my teachers when I was doing teacher training, one of her emails reminded me of the psoas muscle, and which is probably the most important muscle in our body, arguably. And we use it every single day. You use it almost every time you move. You're using your psoas muscle, whether you know it or not. And a proper psoas muscle is both strong and stretchy. So it can tighten up and it can extend. And so that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to work on the psoas muscle. So in order to do that, I want to just introduce the psoas muscle to you. Then I'm going to read from an article. So we're going to spend a few minutes just understanding what is the psoas muscle. So I'm going to grab a book, and I'm going to put this right in front of the screen. So here is the psoas muscle, right here. It attaches to the 12th vertebrae, or the 12th thoracic vertebrae, yep, and runs right down through your lumbar, down the inside of the, keep my finger out of the way, down the inside of the pelvis, and attaches to the inside of our femur at the lesser trochanter. Here's a picture of the iliacus, which is just a muscle from the inside of your pelvis down to the lesser trochanter. And the two of them together, see if I can get this thing. The two of them together look like that. And they're big muscles, but you can tell how deep they are. They're not superficial muscles. It's not like your stomach or your thigh. You can put your hand right on your muscle and feel the muscle. This is a really deep muscle. So some of the other information about the psoas muscle is the second chakra. Any activity of the psoas muscle invigorates the second chakra, which I think is really cool. And we're not going to spend time on what is a chakra and that kind of thing. A chakra is an energy center, and there's 7 major ones, and this is the second one. Some of the poses that invigorate the psoas muscle, both to, like this one here, and we're going to do these poses today, like this one right there. That's a contraction
So that's strengthening the psoas. Then you can see we're doing the warrior two pose. So this one is, the right one is flexed. The right leg is flexed where the left leg is extended. And then we're going to come across, you can see we're doing some, sorry if this is jittery. Triangle pose, extended side angle, low lunge. Here you can see on the triangle pose how the lower psoas is doing a lot of work. It's contracting, it's pulling that leg in where the upper psoas is stretching. So on this one, one psoas is contracting, the other one is lengthening. And then the last one I'll show you is the camel pose, and we'll do this today, where we're lengthening, stretching both of the psoas muscles right across the front of the pelvis. Cool. So this book is The Key Muscles of Yoga by Ray Long. Really a good book. Really a good book. Okay. So now I'm going to sit back down on my comfy bolster, and we're going to go through an article that I've got here because I want to introduce some more of the PSOAS. It's important to know what the PSOAS is so you know how you feel in your body, how it feels in your body, how your body might react to it, different issues with the psoas muscle, and if you're having aches and pains or some other issues with the psoas, what you might be able to do with it. So this article is titled "Why Your Psoas Muscle is the Most Vital Muscle in Your Body," and it's by Christiane Northrup, Christiane Northrup, medical doctor. So I'm just going to read some of this. So enjoy. The psoas muscle, which is PSOAS, psoas, may be the most important muscle in your body. Without this essential muscle group, you wouldn't even be able to get out of bed in the morning. In fact, whether you run, bike, dance, practice yoga, or just hang out on your couch, your psoas muscles are involved. That's because your psoas muscles are the primary connectors between your torso and your legs. They affect your posture and help to stabilize the spine. The psoas muscles are made of both slow and fast twitch muscles. Because they are major flexors, weak psoas muscles can cause many of the surrounding muscles to compensate or become overused. That is why a tight or overstretched psoas muscle could be the cause of many of your aches and pains, including a low back pain or a pelvic pain. The types of movement that can strain your psoas muscle include standing and twisting from your waist without moving your feet. Think of old-fashioned calisthenics. Or any movement that causes your leg to externally rotate while extended, such as a ballet-style leg lifts, and even doing too many sit-ups, because your psoas muscle completes the last half of the sit-up. So too many sit-ups results in a really compressed, tight psoas muscle, or it could be. Because many experts don't understand the complexity of the psoas muscles, it's not uncommon for people to be given the wrong diagnoses and treatments for their psoas-related pain. Structurally, your psoas muscles are the deepest muscles in your core. So it's a core muscle. So while we're doing core work, which we all allow to do core work, and I'm thinking of Sophia and Melissa right now, but everybody loves core work. They attach from your 12th thoracic vertebrae, which is right at the lower part of your ribs on your spine, And then it runs right down your lumbar, attaches to the outside edges of your lumbar, the fifth lumbar vertebrae, through your pelvis, down the inside of your pelvis, like we saw in the picture. And then it finally attaches to your femur, your upper leg bone, on the inside of your thigh. In fact, they're the only muscles that connect your spine to your legs. It's the only muscle that connects your spine to your legs. The psoas muscles allow you to bend your hips and your legs toward your chest. For example, when you're going upstairs. They also help to move your leg forward when you walk or run. These same muscles flex your trunk forward when you bend over or pick something up on the floor. And they also stabilize your trunk and spine during movement and sitting. The psoas muscles support your internal organs and work like hydraulic pumps, allowing blood and lymph. And lymph is important for your immune system to pump around your body, because lymph doesn't have, like a nervous system or blood vessels and whatnot. So it's important to pump lymph around your body, and your psoas will help do that. They are vital not only to your structure and well-being, but also to your psychological well-being, because they are connected to your breath. Here's why. There are two tendons for the diaphragm. Diaphragm's right between, it's a muscle that separates the chest cavity from the abdominal cavity. The two tendons extend down and connect to the spine alongside where your psoas muscles are attached. And also one of the ligaments, called the media arcuate, wraps around the top of each psoas. Also, the diaphragm and the psoas muscles are connected through fascia that also connects the other hip muscles. These connections between the psoas muscle and the diaphragm literally connect your ability to walk and breathe, and also how you respond to fear and excitement. When you're startled or under stress, your psoas contracts. In other words, your psoas has a direct influence to your fight or flight response. During prolonged periods of stress, yeah, you got it, the psoas is constantly contracted. The same contraction occurs when you sit for long periods of time, engage in excessive running or walking, sleep in a fetal position, or do a lot of sit-ups. All these activities compress the front of your hip, and they shorten the psoas muscle. But it doesn't necessarily mean you should automatically stretch your psoas if you have pain in the front of your hip joint. In fact, depending on your situation, stretching your psoas may actually do more harm than good. The key to know whether your psoas is short or tight, and thus is in need of stretching, or if it's weak and overstretched and in need of strengthening. So there's 7 ways to tell if you have psoas muscle imbalance. Here we go. Number 1, leg length discrepancy. And I'm not going to read all the detail behind it, but a tight psoas muscle can cause your pelvis to rotate forward, and it may cause leg length discrepancy between one leg versus the other leg. Knee or low back pain. Postural problems. If your psoas is too short or too tight, it's going to pull your pelvis anteriorly, which is to the front, and it's going to compress your spine while creating it's called hyperlordosis. The smaller your back has a little bend in the smaller your back. If it's over-exaggerated because your hips are rotated forward, your butt sticks clear out the back, that's called hyperlordosis, or in the article it says duck butt. If your psoas is overstretched or weak, then it flattens that natural curve in your lower spine, your lumbar spine. Your tailbone then tucks underneath, kind of tucks down toward the floor, down toward the front, and that creates a rounded spine. And you see a lot of, especially older people that walk around, it's almost like they're leaning over all the time. Well, that's a what they call a flat, in the article it calls it a flat butt. Another way to tell if you have psoas muscle imbalance is difficulty moving your bowels. I won't go any farther on that. Menstrual cramps, chest breathing. So a tight psoas muscle creates a thrusting forward of the rib cage because it's pulling your spine down toward your pelvis in the back, and so then you're thrusting your chest out, and you just breathe through your chest, not the entire capacity of your lungs. Causes shallow breathing, limits the amount of oxygen intake. And the seventh one is if you feel exhausted, because the psoas muscles create a muscular shelf that your kidneys and adrenals rest on. As you breathe properly, your diaphragm moves up and down, and your psoas muscles massage these organs, stimulating blood circulation. But when the psoas muscles become imbalanced, so do your kidneys and your adrenal glands, and they can cause physical and emotional exhaustion. So here we go. 9 tips for keeping your psoas muscles happy and healthy. Now I'm just going to read down through these. Avoid sitting for extended periods of time. Add support to your car seat. It says use a rolled up towel underneath your sit bones and or behind your lumbar spine to keep the psoas and hip sockets released. And then that's like all these car seats, you sit and you're kind of tipped forward. Some car seats have a lumbar support that go right behind your lower back. That's what they're talking about. The third one, lay off extreme exercise routines. It says, don't mean completely or forever, but if you're a power walker, distance runner, or sprinter, or even do a lot of sit-ups, you may want to alternate your workouts. Try resistance flexibility exercises, and what that is like if you're pulling your leg into you while you're pushing it away. You're pulling it in with the psoas muscle, pulls this leg in, but my arm is pushing it away. So that's a resistance flexibility exercise. The fifth one, which we have right here at the yoga studio, right here at the Heart of Massage and Yoga, is the fifth one, which is one of the most important ones. Get a professional massage. And Nicole and her team can help out with that right here at the Heart of Massage and Yoga, 4500 Business Park Boulevard, Suite C10. No plug. But a massage therapist can get down and work into and on that psoas muscle. And there's fascia that every night, fascia grows around the entire body, all of our muscles and joints. It's kind of like a fishnet. It grows around everything, and if we don't loosen it up and break that fascia, then it's hard to move. And tight fascia inhibits some of our movement. So it's going to inhibit the flexibility and the movement of that psoas. So a good massage therapist, I'm speaking out of turn because I'm not a massage therapist, but they can really. I've had this done by Rolfer, and man, they get right down into that thing. Number 6, take a constructive rest. Number 7, pay attention to your pelvis. Number 8, read the PSOAS book. And it's interesting because there's only 8 listed here, but it says 9 tips, so I have to come up with another one. So we're coming to the end of this, and here's where yoga comes into play with the psoas muscle. It says right here, use pandiculation, there's a word for you, to heal your psoas and all your muscles. Yeah. So pandiculation, Pandiculation. That's a good one for a spelling bee. While you got the kids at home, ask them to spell pandiculation. Pandiculation, or active stretching, is a somatic movement that's typically associated with yawning, especially when you first wake up in the morning. It's actually your nervous system's wake-up call. It's called nature's reset button. So, like for example, in the article it says we sometimes call this a cat-cow stretch, like
Like when you see a dog or a cat get up in the morning, they do, you know, a cat-cow, like a dog. My dog does downward dog every day, and then he does a lunge. Humans pandiculate automatically when we walk, or after we've been sedentary for a while. So there's 3 steps to pandiculation, and pandiculation, you use pandiculation to heal your psoas and all your muscles. So there's 3 steps to pandiculation. It's really easy. You flex, which means it comes together. Like if I'm flexing my arm, I'm bending my arm in. I'm flexing it. Once it's flexed, then the second step to pandiculation is to extend. So now I'm extending. Flexing, extending. Flexing, extending. Same thing your leg. Flex, extend. Flex, extend. And then the third one is relax. Completely relax all your muscles. When you relax the muscles that you just contracted and lengthened, your brain integrates the new feedback. This helps your brain remember that those muscles don't have to stay stuck. And then the last thing I'm going to read here is, it says, some exercise forms, such as yoga and resistance flexibility, actually incorporate pandiculation. So there we have it. There's your article. If you want to, you can maybe get this on the internet. There it is. Boom. Okay. Now we're going to get started in a little yoga exercise. So I'm just going to move this computer back. I've got it sitting on a chair. So hopefully that is just right. So we're going to get this stuff out of the way. I'm going to take my socks off. And we're going to get started. So first thing, we're going to come down to our mat. And we're just going to do some warm-up exercises first. So wrists directly underneath your shoulders, fingers spread wide, knees directly underneath your hips, feet directly behind your knees. And we're going to start off with some cat-cow. So on the inhale, you drop your belly, your gaze looks forward. On the exhale, you round your back toward the ceiling. Your gaze comes down between your hands and knees. Inhale, pull your hands horizontally toward your knees. This is isometric. And then on the exhale, push your hands away from your knees. Inhale toward your knees. Exhale, round your back. Get that back toward the ceiling. One more time. And then we come into neutral tabletop. Now we're going to wag the tail. Look over your left shoulder to your left ankle. Stick that right hip way out. Look over your right shoulder to right ankle. Stick that left hip way out. Just wag the tail. Just follow your own breath, your own speed. Your back's nice and flat. Just wag the tail back and forth. Just wag the hips side to side is what we're doing. Then we'll come into neutral tabletop. Walk your hands forward about a foot. Place your hands on the mat. Push your hips back. Puppy dog pose. Push your hips back. Really lengthen through your arms. Lengthen through your armpits. Lengthen through your side body. Maybe you can put your forehead down onto the mat if you like. Rotate your forehead across your forehead, left and right. If not, you can keep your head up. Oh, that's a good one. Then we come back into neutral tabletop. And we walk our hands over to the right corner of our mat. Place both hands to the right corner of the mat. And then push that left hip back. There's a big lateral stretch of the left side. And then breathe just into your left lung. Inhale just into your left lung.
Big inhale, big exhale. One more inhale, exhale. Feel those ribs move. Walk your hands over to the left corner of your mat. Plant both those hands over there. And push that right hip way back. Big lateral stretch on the right side. Inhale into your right lung. Feel the muscles between your ribs. They're called the intercostal muscles. Feel those muscles moving, expanding with an inhale, contracting on the exhale. One more breath. And walk those hands back up in the center. Shake it out. Now we're going to thread the needle. We're going to do a little twist. Sometimes I use a bolster, but since I do have a bolster here, but you may not have one at home, so I'm going to do it without. To simulate what you can do it on home practice without all these props. So I take my right hand up and underneath my left. I come down to my right shoulder. Hopefully you can see that. Come down to my right shoulder, and I stack my left shoulder on top of my right. And then breathe into this twist as best you can. Smile. Somebody's watching. And then push yourself back up. Come to neutral tabletop again. And take that left hand up underneath the right. Come down the left shoulder. Snake that right hand out in front of you. Stack the right shoulder on top of the left shoulder. And then walk that hand back in and push yourself up. Let's get my sequence that I worked on here this morning, make sure we stay on track. And now we're going to come down onto our backs on the mat. You should be able to see this. So we're going to come onto our backs, and we're going to do Padangusthasana. So we lay on our back. Hands can be out the side or in a comfortable place. Legs straight down the mat. Extend your legs. Lift each heel and see if you can get your leg a little bit longer and put that heel on the mat. So now we've got a good extension, good axial extension through our spine. Now, our psoas muscles, which are, we saw in the picture where they're at, they're both extended right now. They're not really stretched too much, but they're not contracted either. They're just relaxed in a neutral position. So now we're going to contract our left psoas muscle, and when we contract it, that raises our left leg up in the air. And you can do this with a bent knee or a straight knee. Contract, raise that leg up in the air, hold that, and then let the leg come out to the side a little bit, to the outside. So now we're both contracting, but we're actually lengthening as well a little bit of that psoas muscle, because the psoas connects to the inside of our thigh. So as the inside of the thigh moves away from the pelvis, we're lengthening the lower part of our psoas. And you come up with it, and then you come over just a little bit. Leave this hip, leave the right hip and the left hip on the ground. So I don't want to twist. I don't want to raise your hips up off the mat. Your hips stay on the mat. Bring this leg across body, and it's only going to come across body a few inches before that left hip wants to come up off the mat. Leave the hips on the mat, and then bring it back into center and lower it down. Relax. Just did a lot of strengthening work for that left psoas. So maybe you can be mindful enough, maybe, to feel the difference between your psoas muscles now. Okay, again, lift each heel, put it on the mat, lengthen your legs down, the length of the mat. This time,
raise your right leg up. Dorsiflex flex that foot too. Raise your right leg up. So now we're working the right psoas muscle. The left one's still in a relaxed, lengthened position. Bring that leg out to the side a little bit. You can support it with your hand if you like. You can do this with a bent knee too. And then bring that back up in the center. And then come across body. Leave this right hip on the mat. Come across body. For me, it's only, I can only do maybe 3 or 4 inches across body before this hip wants to come up. That's Padagustasana 1 when it's right vertical. 2 and Padagustasana 3 is cross body. And then bring that leg down. Good. Inhale, exhale, just relax in Shavasana. Relax. These are the 3 things to pandiculation, right? That we learn. Contract it, stretch it, relax it. Work it. Okay, now we're going to come into Ardha Shavasana. So raise your knees up, put your soles of your feet flat on your mat. Bring those feet fairly close to your hip, fairly close to your butt. Your arms come down to your side, palms facing down on the mat. We're going to come up into bridge pose. So we raise our hip toward the ceiling, come up into bridge. So now we're lengthening the psoas muscle. And then we roll 1 vertebrae at a time down. As your back comes down, bring your shoulders and your head up. We're doing a crunch. We're activating our core. And then come down. Come down to bridge. And then rotate down onto your spine. When your spine's down, come up and do a crunch. Your hands can be on your chest. Let's come into Anjali Mudra. Come up into bridge. Come down. Follow your breath into this. Exhale as you crunch. Exhale as you crunch. Hold that. Hold that crunch up. Hold it. And then big inhale. This time, as we come up into bridge, our arms are going to come up overhead. Come up into bridge. Arms overhead. When we come down, we're going to crunch. We're going to use our arms to maybe help crunch up. Hold that crunch. Come down, arms back again. Up into bridge. We'll come up into crunch. As I keep doing these, I'm walking myself off the end of my mat. And we come up in the bridge again. Maybe we'll just do this for a while. It kind of feels good, doesn't it? Massaging our back, getting a little abdominal work, right? A little core work. We're going to do it one more time. Bridge. Arms come down, maybe they come across your chest this time, on your shoulders, and then hold that crunch. Hold the crunch, hold the crunch. Maybe your legs come up, maybe you extend your legs. Really hold that crunch. And then let everything go. Straighten your legs out, the length of your mat. And the psoas is part of your core muscles. We've just been working a lot of our other core muscles. Won't go into the names of those today. Maybe we'll have another session on that. Just inhale and exhale. Nothing to do, Shavasana, take a rest. We're doing pandiculation. We're working our muscles, we're stretching them. we're strengthening them, and then we rest them. And then that gives your brain permission to recognize that sequence of movements that helps set that stage for for good muscle support. Okay, now we can roll over and push yourself up again to a tabletop. And then we're going to bring our right leg forward. We're going to come into a low lunge. Now, a lot of times when we have blocks, I'm not using blocks today, like I said, because I'm going to try to simulate. I don't have any blocks at home. I got a bolster, but I don't have any blocks. Maybe some of you do have blocks at home, so you can use blocks, you can use a bolster, whatever you like. Come into a low lunge so that my ankle is underneath my knee. Now, on my left, my right leg is forward, so my left psoas is getting a stretch right now. My right psoas is contracting, and the left one is extending. Contraction or flexion, like we said before. Flexion here, in this one, and extension here. Flex, extend. And hands on the knee. Maybe you can come a little bit farther forward, a little bit, but don't overstretch your psoas. You don't want to, and you don't want to hang on your ligaments either. So use your muscle tension, but get a good stretch in that psoas. And then we're going to come back and do Parsvottanasana. So all I'm doing is I'm straightening out my forward leg, my right leg. Feels good on the hamstring. Come back forward. This time maybe our hands come up in the air. Engage your abdominal muscles and get maybe a little bit of a back bend. Low lunge. It's kind of like warrior one on your knee. We're going to come back, Parsvottanasana, bow your head toward your forward foot. One more time, come up, great, and then come back. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just turn, you guys stay on your mat. I'm just going to turn so you can see me. So I'm in the same position I was just at, but this time I'm going to walk my right foot over just a little bit. My hands then come inside, and blocks or a pillow or something here could be handy if you had it. And all I'm going to do here, I'm going to put the weight of my torso, most of my weight on my hands, and I'm going to let that right leg open out to the side. This is kind of like what we did in Padangusthasana 2, where we let that leg come out to the side. So now, it's just a relaxation of that. It really opens up the adductor muscle, which is a big muscle on the inside of your thigh, and stretches the lower part of our psoas muscle. So even though it's flexed, now we're getting a little extension on the very lower part of the psoas muscle where it attaches to the lesser trochanter on the inside of your thigh. Bring that back in and bring that whole group back together. Come into just a neutral tabletop. Take your left foot, bring your left foot forward. Hands on your knee. Maybe you can come a little bit forward. Stretch that right psoas muscle. We're stretching our thigh muscle here too. You can also take and you can scrum forward on your back knee a little bit, and then raise that back leg, grab that back ankle. This gives a little bit more stretch to that psoas. Let that go. Come into Parsvottanasana. Straighten that forward leg out. My back rounds pretty good. You can keep a straight back if you can. Keep a straight back if you have the flexibility in your hips to do this. I don't. So my back rounds. Come forward this time. Maybe your arms come up. Engage your abdominal muscles to protect your lower back. Arms come up toward the ceiling. Really lengthen those arms toward the ceiling. Lengthen up high. Maybe get a little bit of a back bend here. Just a little bit. Now we're really strengthening, or stretching rather, the psoas muscle on your right side as we lengthen our spine and get a little bit of a back bend. So now the psoas has to bend all the way around that hip in the front. And of course, the left psoas is contracted. Now we're going to come into Parsvottanasana again. We'll come forward. Let's do it one more time. Come up. Oh yeah. And then we come down. Now I'm just going to turn around to the front again so you can see this. I'm going to walk my left foot over to the corner of the mat or to the side a little bit. My hands then come down the inside. The weight of my torso, the weight of my shoulders and whatnot is on my hands, on my fingers. And I'm just going to let that knee drop out a little bit. And you can lean forward and stretch that on your back leg, stretch that psoas muscle on the back leg, and just let that forward one just lay out to the side. Don't push on or anything because this is a fairly open hip. I should say, let's see, how do I say it? It's not real stable in this position, so you wouldn't want somebody to come along and push on that knee and push it down because you could do a lot of damage to your ligaments that way, your muscles. But just a nice gentle gravity, it feels good to me to open up that hip doing this. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Just like we always say in yoga, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Come back up, and then we're going to come up to standing. So shake that out. Slowly come up to standing. Have a little drink. It's just water, not whiskey, although at these times, right? A little bit of water. Lubricate the joints. What are we going to do next? Okay, here we go. So, I learned this from the guy Dennis Egan. We're going to do a little dance. We're just going to get some fluid in our joints moving. So the way this dance works, you just stand on your mat. It's called, I call it the curtsy dance. I don't know what else to call it. Some of you have done this with me before. So you move your weight over onto your left foot. Your right foot comes around behind. And you plant your toes on your mat. Your left arm comes out. Your right arm over it. Kind of like we're doing eagle pose. And then you come down. Maybe you stay clear up like this. Maybe you come way down. And then you come out, extend the psoas, and you come down on the right side. Your back stays nice and straight, so we're not rounding our back. Check it out. I see you all. Actually, I don't. I can't see you, but you can see me. Since I'm the only one in the studio today. One more, either side, and we come up. Good, shake that out. Okay, real good. I'm gonna move this back just a hair. I think you might be able to see me better if I'm back just a little bit for me. Maybe. I think you can see me. Okay, now we're gonna do a series moon salute. Well, I'm going to incorporate in this moon salute. A moon salute, you can do it all kinds of different ways, and you'll see people doing all kinds of different instructors teaching different ways. But I'm going to incorporate a lot of different the warrior series, trikonasana, etc. in this crescent lunge, etc. So that we can work on our psoas. This is all in service of the psoas today.
although it helps the spine and everything else. But think about your psoas. Be very mindful as we do this moon salute, and think about which of the psoas muscles, right or left, which one is lengthening, extending, which is contracting, getting work, getting tight, getting strong. If it contracts, it's getting strong. If it lengthens, it's getting more flexibility. And we want both. We want a strong psoas, but we also want it to stretch. So there we go. So come into Tadasana, engage your thighs, engage your glutes, set your hips in neutral, your psoas is neutral, lower ribs down just until you feel your abdominals engaged 10%, shoulders back and down, chin parallel with the floor and your head back toward the back just a little bit. Tadasana, arms come up and over our head, and we take a side bend. Inhale, exhale. Inhale and step out toward the center of your mat. Feet out at 45-degree angle, arms at goal pose, goddess pose. Back nice and straight and back is vertical. Come up in a 5-point star, rotate to the left into a triangle position. So my back foot is about a 30-degree angle. My heel of my front is aligned with the heel of my back foot. And I come into triangle pose. This hip comes back, and I reach across the room. I don't have a block, so I'm just going to put my hand on my shin. The way I do, I take my fingers and put it right in the lineal, right below my sternum. Lineal is that line that runs from your center of your chest, your sternum, down to your navel. And I just encourage the twist with my fingers. It just helps me to encourage that. I learned that from Lydia. This arm comes up. Now, instead of curving my upper spine, I'm going to lower, so both side bodies are hopefully about the same. Trikonasana, we saw that in the book. It's pretty good. This is the first time I've actually been able to see myself do Trikonasana because there's no mirrors in here, right? And then we bend that forward leg, we come into Warrior Two. So Warrior Two stands. Now think about, we do have an external rotation, so as I was reading that paper, it says you can get an imbalance when you have an external rotation, too much of an external rotation of your leg if your hips are fixed. So that's why our hips are not aligned with the long side of our mat. My hips are kind of like a 45-degree angle. We're not between two panes of glass anymore. Extend that side angle. Reach for the sky, cowboy. Then we're going to come down into extend the side angle. Extend the side angle, we're just stacking our right shoulder on top of our left. This elbow can be on this knee if you like. Extend the side angle. Come back up into Warrior Two. Now we're going to just rotate around into crescent lunge toward the left side of your mat. Back leg is fully engaged. Push that back knee back. Reach for the sky. Get long direction, sense of direction here. Long. And then we're going to bring our hands down to the mat. Come into, back foot comes back a little bit. Come into a high runner's lunge. Now we're really lengthening the psoas muscle on our right leg, whereas we're contracting the psoas muscle on our left leg, and we rotate around. I think in Amanda's class we call this crouching tiger. If this is not accessible to you, you can stay up. A crouching tiger. Find a drishti on the floor. And then you can move over to the other side. I think that's a really fun movement to do. And then we rotate around to the right side of your mat. in high runner's lunge. This back knee toward the ceiling. Stretch this psoas. And then we're going to maybe bring that back leg in just a little bit as I come up into crescent lunge. Crescent lunge, really engage your abdominal muscles, get a little bit of back bend. Whoa. And then we're going to spin out toward warrior two. Check your alignment. I like to align my front heel with my back heel. Check the alignment of your warrior two. Exalt that warrior. One of these days I'll tell you the story of the warriors, warrior 1, 2, and 3. It's a really cool story. Back into warrior 2, we come down to extended side angle. So extended side angle, you put this elbow right on your knee, or you can extend that arm. Stack your left shoulder over your right shoulder, big twist. Rotate your upper hand toward your, so your thumb is a little bit more toward the ceiling than your pinky. Pinky is more toward the floor. So instead of like that, we're doing this. An external rotation helps to open up that shoulder. Come back in, warrior two, straighten that front leg. Come into Trikonasana, reach across. Then the elbow, just engage that, bring it out. And then bring my top side, so I'm not around my top torso, parallel with my lower torso. We got 4 columns along our body. And maybe I don't go down very far. Whatever. Come back in warrior two, rotate around 5-point star, feet out 45-degree angle, arms at goalpost or goddess. Come into your goddess, not straight back. This time when we come up, we're going to step to the left side of your mat. Bring your hands together, you can't see my hand, and right behind your head, elbows toward the ceiling, stretch those triceps out. We're going to do this a little bit faster this next time. We're going to step out toward the center of our mat, 5-point star, feet out 45. This time we turn toward the right side of our mat first. Come into your triangle pose. I'll go a little faster this time. Warrior two, exalt, rotate down, extend a side angle, crescent lunge. Crescent lunge into a runner's lunge. Runner's lunge into crouching tiger. I was anxious to get this crouching tiger. Come over to the other side. Love that move. Runner's lunge. Come up into a crescent lunge. Balance move. Rotate out into warrior two. Exalt. Exalt that warrior. You can figure out how to do that. Come into extended side angle. Come back up warrior two. Straighten up front leg. Come into your Trikonasana. Lengthen the lower side body is what I remember. Lengthen the lower side body, which means dropping that hip back and in. So that psoas muscle is really working. It's contracting, bringing that hip back and in, where this other psoas is stretching, as we saw in the book. Bend that forward leg, come back up into warrior two, and we're going to come into a 5-point star. I forgot where I was a minute. Maybe I'm not in the right spot. Goddess? Yeah. And then we're going to come over to the right side, hands together,
Bring those elbows, the hands behind your head, back to the back of your neck. Extend the elbows toward the ceiling. Stretch those tricep muscles. Bring the hands overhead. One more time, we're going to do a lateral bend to the left. Lateral bend to the right. We're going to bring hands down to heart center, and then we just shake it out. Shake her out. Okay, now we're going to do a key move, yoga move, for the psoas. We're going to strengthen the psoas big time. Now you can, if you got a wall, you can do this against the wall, or you can do it just out on the mat. If you had a chair or a table, you can use that for stability. It's a balance move, balance every day. So hands on your hips or against the wall. Hands are important, position of hands are important. And I'm going to first balance on my left leg, so I engage my left thigh, engage my left glute. Helps with stability. Find a focal point on the floor. Or I'm just going to look right at you, right in your eyes. Of course, I can't see you, but you can see mine. And bring this other leg right up. So that's the psoas muscle that's doing that. The psoas muscle is primarily responsible for raising that leg. Isn't that cool? So we raise that leg. Maybe you can extend that leg. Now, like we did in, this is just Padangusthasana. Again, standing Padangusthasana. We open it out to the side. We open our hips up, allow our hips to rotate. We come across, maybe we come across the body just a little bit. Padangusthasana. Come back out in the front. Maybe you raise that up. Maybe you can twist your thigh a little bit like this. And then come back and put that leg back behind you. And then get a big stretch in your back leg. It's like we're doing a crescent lunge again. Crescent lunge, you can have your hands in the air if you like. Keep them on your hip. But my leg, if you can see, I'm going to go sideways. So I was like this. I was like this. Now I put it out behind me, and now I'm stretching it. So here I was actively engaging the psoas muscle. I'm flexing it. Flexion. Extension. And then we relax it. Come back into standing, just relax that. Pandiculation, that's the 3 steps for a healthy psoas muscle. So, Tadasana again, you know how to do that. Weight into your right foot. Think of a root coming out of your right, the sole of your right foot, deep into the ground. That's your anchor, that's your grounding. It helps with balance. Find a focal point. Left leg comes up into the air. Hands can be on hips, hands can be actually anywhere you want your hands. That's not important, I don't believe. Open that up. Cross it over. Maybe you extend it straight out. Maybe you open it up straight out. Cross it over, straight out, cross it over. Now, step it back. So now we're going to step it back, and we're going to stretch that. Whoa. We're going to stretch that psoas in a crescent lunge again. Work it hard and stretch it. And step forward and just relax that thing. Just relax it. Now put it back in neutral position. And just let her go. So we're not tucked up, we're not extended back, we're good. Okay, here's another one. We're going to do dancer pose. And you can do this with the wall, hand on the wall, or you can do it just stand on your mat, whichever way you like. Dancer pose, I'm going to balance in my left foot first, take my right foot up. This is where if you had a strap, you can use a strap. If you can't grab your ankle with your hand, knees aligned, both thighs together, left arm up, then you rotate forward. So now our left psoas is contracting, doing a lot of work balancing. Our right psoas is releasing as I pull this leg back, we're stretching the right psoas. So asymmetric, stretching and contracting, bring that back in, shake that out. Dancer pose. You can, of course, hold these poses longer if you like. You can work on dancer for the next 30 minutes, just hit pause. That's a nice thing about the recording, I guess. Again, we're going to come on the other way. I don't know why I turned around, but I did. And come in the dancer again. Engage your abdominal muscles. Standing leg, my thigh is engaged. And now I start tipping forward at the hips. My back stays nice and straight. Now, bring that back knee back. Whoa, baby. Bring that back knee back to stretch that psoas. There we go. And then let that go. That was a little fast on the dancer, I thought. But that's kind of the way it is, isn't it? Okay. How long are we running on this thing so far? We're running an hour. Okay, a little over an hour. Okay, we're winding down, but I want to do blooming candle. Christiane calls this blooming candle, I think, which is really a good pose because we saw this in the book, whereby the camel pose is this pose here, where I'm stretching, engage your abdominal muscles, you do a back bend, maybe your fingers come on your heels, your thighs are vertical, and this is camel. So now this is stretching both symmetrically, both psoas muscles, but the way we're going to do this is blooming candle. So I come down, straighten my toes out, knees are hip width apart, and then I just come forward into like a child's pose. Arms behind me, right arm then swings around, and I come up with the strength of my back muscles, come up into camel. And then I come down. And then my left arm swings out. Inhale as you come up, and exhale as you come down. Inhale as you come up, exhale as you come down. Now we're going to go all the way around. Inhale up, both arms come around, and I come right on down. My left arm comes out, around in front. My right arm, there we go, and come down. This feels really good to me. Blooming camel. Blooming camel. The desert animal. And we do one more. Blooming camel. And we just come down in child's pose. Come down in child's pose. You can rest your head on your hands. Keep your hands behind you. And relax. So in child's pose, both of our psoas muscles are really, they're not working, but they're shortening. They're real short. They're as short as you're going to get in child's pose. You can't get them any shorter because this is as close as our spine comes to our femur, to our upper leg bone. And the psoas connects the spine to the upper leg bone, so when the spine is as close as it can get to the upper leg bone, the psoas is short. And then we're going to push ourselves up, and we're going to come onto our back for just a couple more moves before Shavasana. Come on your back. All we're going to do, we're going to spread our feet out to the width of the mat. We're going to take a little twist, a little windshield wiper of the legs. Nice little twist. If you need more twisting, you can do that. and then come back, and then we're going to come up into happy baby, feet on the outside, or hands on the outside of your feet, your elbows on the inside of your knees, come up into happy baby, maybe rotate around a little bit. Again, we're pulling our psoas is really shortened now. But it's relaxed. We're not working the psoas, so we're not strengthening it, and we're not stretching it. It's just relaxed. And then we come down, and we lengthen our legs along the length of our mat, arms out at your side somewhere which is comfortable, into Shavasana. So we're going to sit in Shavasana for just a few minutes. And this is the third step of that pandiculation, to just relax. In this case, relax all your muscles. Psoas did a lot of work. But don't relax your mind. Keep your mind focused on your inner drishti. Drishti is a focal point in Sanskrit. So the inner drishti is your breath. So keep your mind focused on your inner drishti. Maybe you can just watch your breath, and as you watch your breath, on the inhale, just say to yourself, inhale or in breath or breathing in. And on the exhale, say out breath or breathing out or exhale. Just keep going with your Shavasana. Just begin to move your fingers and toes, deepen your breath. I find recording these things is a little hard to have an extended Shavasana because I can't see anybody, so I don't know if everybody is still with me or not. But roll over onto your right side, take a couple deep breaths. And when you're ready, you can push yourself up into a comfortable seated position. And thanks so much for joining me for the PSOAS yoga series today. Bring my hands into Anjali Mudra. I'm just going to recite the metta meditation. You can say this to yourself in your own head. feel safe and protected. May I feel wondrous joy. May I be healthy and strong. And may my path in this life be easy. Namaste. Thanks so much for coming. Now I get to play with Nicole's singing bowl she brought in, which is really cool. So thanks for coming.